Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to learn a beautiful, wonderful poem written by James T. Fields, and it is called The Ballad of the Tempest. In this poem, the author, James T. Fields, he expresses the despair, that is pain or hopelessness of sailors, seaman or boatman or mariner when facing a violent storm on the ocean, and shows how an innocent child can bring people hope in adversity. Adversity meaning difficult or unpleasant situation. And throughout the poem, the writing technique of the poet gives readers a great reading experience. As the title suggests, Fields wrote this poem in the form of a ballad formed by 4-line stanzas with consistent trimeter. Trimeter, it's a line of verse consisting of 3 metrical feet, which is used to enhance the musical quality of the poem. So now let's begin with the poem. We were crowded in the cabin. Not a soul would dare to sleep. It was midnight on the waters, and a storm was on the deep. So the poem, it starts by introducing the time, the weather, and the people involved in this story. In the first line, he uses the word crowded to describe how the sailors have arranged themselves on the ship. The word crowded also represents the nervousness and intensity of the sailors. Then he says, not a soul would dare to sleep, pushing the intense situation to the next level. They were frightened to even sleep. Why? He introduces their location, the time, and the bad weather they are facing. So, the first stanza of the poem, it shows that it was midnight, still no one dared to sleep as the storm was so terrifying that no one could sleep. All were frightened of getting drowned as the storm was very deep and extreme. 'Tis a fearful thing in winter to be shattered by the blast, and to hear the rattling trumpet, thunder, cut away the mast. Now here he continues to explain to the readers why it is dangerous to meet storms on the sea in winter. First, he describes how powerful the storm is. Fields writes that the ship is being shattered in the blast to represent the potential damage the storm could deal to the ship. What makes things even worse is that they are sailing in winter. The word rattling is used to describe the noise created by the thunder. The poet not only gives readers a picture of the kind of situation the sailors are facing, but also indicates the sounds they hear. Combining the sound of thunder and people shouting, Fields used the technique of imagery, which makes readers feel the same tension as the sailors tossing on the dangerous sea. So, the second stanza, in short, says it was fearful because it was winter season. The ship was about to break apart by the pressure of the wind. The sailors heard the rattling sound of the trumpet, and someone thundered to cut away the mast. So we shuddered there in silence, for the stoutest held his breath, while the hungry sea was roaring and the breakers talked with death. He shows the readers how powerless humans are when facing natural disasters. He begins the stanza with the word so, representing that the following events are the sailors' reaction to the situations mentioned in the previous two stanzas. Fields uses the words shuddered and silence to show the powerlessness of the ordinary sailors. Even the strongest of them, the stoutest one, can do nothing but hold his breath. Compared to the silent humans, nature is not quiet at all. Fields uses metaphor and personification to describe the sea as a hungry beast roaring and holding a conversation with death. He smartly uses the word talked in the last line, which suggests that the sea is making a deal with death about whether to kill the sailors or not. So here, all sailors were in silence out of fear. Even the strongest, brave person had held his breath. The sea was roaring like a hungry lion. The large, turbulent, wild waves talked with death. As thus we sat in darkness, each one busy with his prayers. We are lost, the captain shouted, as he staggered down the stairs. The writer continues to tell readers what the sailors do in such bad weather on the sea. In the first line, the word darkness is the key word to describe what the sailors are thinking. Not only is the ship dark, but there is also no hope in the sailors' hearts. The only thing that can keep them busy is praying. The poet writes down a speech from their captain. We are lost. This serves as an icebreaker that breaks the silence and brings hope for the crew. This creates a tense mood and shows the readers the hopelessness of the sailors. So, in short, all were sitting in darkness, frightened. Everyone was praying to God for their safety. At that moment, the captain shouted that they were lost when he was coming unsteadily down the stairs. But his little daughter whispered, as she took his icy hand, "Isn't God upon the ocean just the same as on the land?" Typically, it is hard to hear a small girl's whisper in a crowded ship full of male sailors. However, since everyone is silent, all the people can hear her voice clearly. Fields uses the word icy to describe the captain's hand to remind readers it is still a cold winter. The word icy also represents that the captain is as scared as the other sailors. In the last two lines, he repeats the girl's words. Isn't God upon the ocean just the same as on the land? This simple sentence not only breaks the silence by showing the naive girl's thoughts, that's innocent girl's thoughts, but also brings humor and hope to the sailors. Readers can notice how important these words are because of the innocent girl. Her words are simple truth that is easily forgotten by adults. They give the sailors hope and courage to break through the storms. So, even his little daughter, by his innocent heart, whispered. She took her father's cold hands and asked if the God upon the sea was the same as on land. Then we kissed the little maiden, and we spake in better cheer, and we anchored safe in harbour when the morn was shining clear. In the final stanza, the captain and his fellows find relief in the girl's words and fight back against the storm. The captain kisses his daughter, thanking her for bringing hope for the crew. After the sailors decide to fight back against the storm, there is no hesitation. At last, the ship sails back to the harbour safely with the morn shining clear. This represents the end of their trip and the end of the bad weather. The storm is gone and the ship safely reaches its destination, which gives the story a happy ending. So, in short, by hearing her talk, all got some hope and prayed to the God earnestly. All kissed the little maiden, and suddenly the astonishing change occurred, and the sailors anchored the ship safely in harbour. The morning in the sky was shining very clearly. The danger which comes like a mountain could disappear like sand. Fortune favors the brave. God is everywhere, but man must have faith in him. So, in this simple poem, the poet talks about the power of faith. In times of difficulty, complete faith in God will give us peace of mind. The poem also shows that we should submit ourselves to the will of God, because through human endeavor alone things cannot change. So this poem, it teaches the readers never to lose hope when facing discouragement and to think straightforwardly like young children. So I do hope you have understood this wonderful, meaningful poem. In case you have any doubts, you can comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you and stay safe.